How's everyone doing? We are 9-4 and more. We talk Jags football and other news around the NFL. And today we got a mock draft, all 32 teams of the first round. Basically, how it's going to go down is that we're going to be kind of playing like GM and coach, but we both have to come to the consensus on the same pick. So, for example, when we start with the Jaguars, we both have to agree that this is going to be the selection, and then we're going to go through all 32 teams or all 32 picks because some teams are not picking in the first round. But that is how this mock draft is going to work, and we're going to start things off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are on the clock. So, Brandon, take it away.
Yeah, for me, if I'm playing GM here, there's two options, and that's either pass rusher or offensive lineman. That's just what you're looking at. I would prefer to trade out of here, but I really don't think anybody's trading up for this first pick. So then it comes down to who you like better. And me personally, I'm drafting Aiden Hutchinson. He didn't lead the NCAA, but he has the most sacks out of anybody in this class. He had 14 last year, said Michigan, and 80 pressures. His RAS score was in the top 20 of 1,000 something since the 80s. He's athletic. He's big. His only knock is his arm length. Apparently, is a little on the shorter side. It's 2 to 3 inches shorter than what you would like to on an edge in his size. But I think with that, the fact, if you look at his tape, you look at his motor, you just look at him as a player and how he just progressed throughout college, I think dude still has a lot more to improve on. And I think if he just gets the NFL and gets Mike Caldwell's just take and helping him coach be better, I think he can just become elite. And that's who I would pick personally.
Yeah, it's definitely between pass rusher and offensive lineman. We've seen some rumors and reports that it seems like Trent Baalke is all for Trayvon Walker. His stock is definitely rising. You also have, it seems like Doug Peterson is all about offensive line, especially Ekwonu from NC State. Seems like that is his favorite offensive lineman. So I think, honestly, it's between Walker, Ekwonu, and also Hutchinson. But at the end of the day, I think the Jaguars are going to come to the consensus that it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher for Michigan.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to make the pick then. We're going to go with Aiden Hutchinson for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, so now we go on to the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are actually in a very interesting spot, just for the fact it's kind of similar to Jaguars. I don't think no one really wants to trade up to number 2, but for the Lions' sake, they can go offensive lineman, they can go edge rusher, they can also go quarterback, Malik Willis here possibly. But if I am the Detroit Lions, I'm actually looking at potentially maybe doing Trayvon Walker since his draft stock is rising. So for my sake, I'm actually going to go ahead and say Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, I think with Aiden Hutchinson off the board, they're probably going to go with their number 2 pass rusher at this point. I think Malik Willis is just too high. This is just too high for him. I believe the GM for the Lions came out and said today they want an explosive player at number 2. They want an instant starter. They want a guy who can come on and make them better. And I think they don't hate Jared Goff. They got 32 pick. They got a lot of other picks coming up. And I think they could easily just say, we're going to wait for next year's quarterback class. So we could maybe possibly see a trade up here. Who knows? I don't think so, but teams are going to try to get ahead of the Panthers. Texans even too could look for a quarterback. We don't know anymore, but I'm fine with picking Trayvon Walker. His draft stock, like you said, is just exploded. To me, I think Kavon Thibodeau is the better edge rusher, but I think if you're looking at the Lions overall team, and they could possibly be a team that looking like they know they're going to be a 500 team this year, and next year is really their goal, I think, with a quarterback and then take off, and Trayvon might be the best player at that position. For that way they can be we can have him here for a year, he's the most dynamic guy, and then he'll be good next year kind of situation. So I think I'm fine with picking Trayvon Walker in this. Yeah. So we're going to draft Walker.
Even though Trayvon Walker obviously is not the best edge rusher in this class, I think he has the best potential and the most athleticism out of all the edge rushers, but I just don't think it's there right now for him to be the best edge rusher taken.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's his whole knock is the fact of all of his sacks pretty much came from stunts and being moved around the defensive line, not him winning one-on-one. In the NFL, you're going to have to do that if you're playing edge. So, yeah. But the fact is that he can play interior, he can play out, he can drop back in coverage. He actually had a pass deflection that led to an interception. I believe that was against the Gators. And so he can do a lot of things. So I think with the head coach of the Lions from the Saints, and his attitude, I think he wants a guy like Trayvon Walker.
No, I agree 100%. So now pick 3, the Houston Texans. This is a very interesting because I think this is where a trade could potentially happen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a trade is going to happen around the selection? Or
personally, I don't think so.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think teams are still. I think they're going to be waiting for the New York picks, just because the Panthers are at pick 6, Seattle's at pick 9. Steelers are still looking for a quarterback. They're pick 20 though. Jump from 20 to 3 is really difficult. I think teams are just going to wait a next pick or two. So I think Texans are pretty much going to have to make this pick. And I think there's a couple of players that could be good here. I think it's going to be between Thibodeau and Ahmad Gardner.
Yep.
I think Texans know Gardner will not be there after 4 or 5. Realistically, both New York teams are very interested in Gardner, as well they should be. And when you look at this edge class, it's very deep, and you look at pick 13. So to me, it's like you're either going to get Thibodeau and maybe Derek Stingley Jr., or do they want Gardner and Jermaine Johnson?
Yep.
So that's kind of where I think the Texans are going to be really battling is what of the duos do we think that we will be better? And personally, I would take the Ahmad Gardner, Jermaine Johnson over the Thibodeau and Derek Stingley. So for me, the pick here is Ahmad Gardner.
You honestly couldn't have said it better. That's who I was going to go with. Now, if you would have said 2 months ago who I think would have been the selection, I would have said Kyle Hamilton. But Kyle Hamilton, I think, is going to fall potentially outside the top 10 now. Gardner, I think, he skyrocketed, came out of kind of nowhere, but he had a phenomenal last year with Cincinnati, and I think he is the best corner in this class. I think he has all the tools to be a top 5 corner, down the road in the league, maybe in a few years. But I think a surprise selection here, I think they could potentially go Evan Neal if they want to shore up the offensive line. If they want to keep Davis Mills as a starting quarterback, I don't think they do. I think they're either draft a quarterback later on in the later rounds or a quarterback next year. But I agree with you. Ahmad Gardner, I think, is going to be the pick for the Texans.
There we go. Locking it in.
All right, so next up we have the New York Jets. They're first of their, I think they have 2 first-round picks this year, pick 4 and pick 10. And I think this is where the first offensive lineman gets taken. I think it's between Evan Neal, Uquano. I wouldn't even be surprised with Cross. Either way, I think it's offensive tackle, but I think it's going to end up being Evan Neal to the Jets.
See, this is where we'll get a little different. I agree with you that I think this will be a tackle here. I think it's going to be Uquano. With that said, they kind of have their left tackle, who I can't remember who it is, but basically they're having a big issue with Malachi Becton. And it's the guy that they signed last year. They actually really liked him at left tackle. And right tackle is like their big thing. And the whole thing about Uquano is he's more of a run blocker. He's more of a mauler. He's not really a NFL ready in the passing sense. Evan Neal a little bit more, but he's kind of the same thing. And I don't know. I just got a feeling like Evan Neal's actually going to fall a little bit. I don't know. I don't know why. I personally don't, but just all of the momentum right now, I feel like is just with Uquano. And I think a team like the Jets, a team that wants to be physical, a team that Elijah Vera Tucker, I mean, look at that pick. That's as physical as you can get on a guard from a draft pick last year. I think that's what they want. And to me, Uquano is more of that than Evan Neal.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with going to Uquano. Like I said, it's going to be one of the offensive linemen, and I think he does fit the Jets fairly well right there. Yeah. So next up, we have the New York Giants. They're 2 first-round picks. Funny, both New York teams have 2 first-round picks. Right. For me, I honestly think it's only one selection when it comes to pick 5 here, if he's there, and that's Thibodeau. I think they need help at pass rusher. So I'm going to go Thibodeau.
Yeah, I agree here. The only other thing to think about is we have the Panthers pick next. Yeah, we have Seattle at 9. We have the Saints with 2 first-round picks. We have the Steelers back there. The Giants have said they're open to a possible trade. Could we see a trade here? We have no quarterbacks have been taken off the board. So whatever, they're a team like the Saints. They have what? I believe it's pick 16 and pick 19. I could see the Giants being like, hey, maybe the play here is to get pick 16, 19, and have pick 7, have 3 first-round picks, because everybody's kind of the same this year. Like you could get their pick number 5 could be just as good as pick number 19 this year. So to me, I personally feel like the Giants are going to trade to the New Orleans Saints here, because I think the Saints are going to try to make a big hit. And with Sean Payton leaving. You have Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston as your starting quarterbacks. Taysom Hill's, that project is over. He is now a tight end. They desperately need a quarterback of the future. And I think they think we have the tools and the veteran leadership right now to get a Malik Willis. Bring him in for a year. He doesn't have to play. There's no expectations for him. I think the Saints know they're not realistically winning a Super Bowl this year, not with the way the Rams and the Bucks and the Packers, like, I just don't see it for them. I think this is going to be a trade here. I think this pick number 5, no matter what team it is going to be a trade. It just depends on what team.
So I think there's going to be a trade with the Giants, but I think it's going to be when Giants get the pick 7, because I still believe that the Panthers are going to be drafting a quarterback.
You don't think they're drafting a quarterback?
I do not think the Panthers are drafting a quarterback.
Okay. So if we're other GMs around the league and we're thinking they're not, so you're thinking they're going to go, they see Evan Neal and Charles Cross, and you're thinking,
yeah, exactly. I think that's who the Panthers are going with, one of those offensive linemen.
That's tough, man. Just the only reason that's tough. This is to me, this is the meat of the draft. There's always a point in the draft where that's where it turns. And to me, this pick 5, because of the Panthers, I don't really think anyway, because Matt Rule's in his hot seat. We all know Matt Rule is the hot, like, his seat is the hottest in the NFL right now for head coaching. And they have Sam Darnold as their quarterback. And I want to say they're thinking about maybe bringing Cam Newton again. And like, they have PJ Walker. And it's just like,
I still don't be surprised about Baker Mayfield potentially to the
that
Panthers.
Is true. I don't know where Baker's going anywhere, to be honest. You even had Robbie Anderson on the Panthers, like, say no to like I don't know if it was Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, but he was like, Baker Mayfield to the Panthers, like, yes or no, and he would like emphatically wrote like no in the comments.
They can do Baker Mayfield a pick and send Robbie Anderson to the Browns.
Right. I mean, hey, actually, it may not be a terrible. So you're thinking we go Thibodeau here?
Yeah, and then I think,
All right, then we're going Kavon Thibodeau. I do agree if this is how it falls to me, Thibodeau and Leonard Williams as your pass rushers, I think that's a pretty good setup for the NFC East. So we're going to go with Kavon.
And then how we talked about the Panthers with pick 6. Now they're on the clock. We both said Evan Neal or Charles Cross. Personally, Evan Neal, I think, is obviously the best tackle, but I don't know if that's how the Panthers see things. If you were the GM of the Panthers, who do you think they would go with, Cross or Neal here?
I think Neal's a better prospect. I think he can play 4 positions realistically.
Except for center. He's even said he will not play center. It's one thing.
Yeah, he won't play. I don't blame him. Center is not where the money is at. And Charles Cross is a left tackle. He can play right tackle, but he can't play guard. There's still iffies about him playing right tackle. So to me, you go with the most versatile offensive lineman in this class, and that's Evan Neal. And you pair him with their left tackle, I believe, is Morton, and they actually paid him. I think they paid him in like Bitcoin or something like that. I remember hearing about that. So he's locked in. So you get your right tackle with Neal and you get Morton out there, and you can see what you can do and maybe give Christian McCaffrey some room actually to get not tackled in the backfield or run 300 times. So to me, the pick is Evan Neal if we're not going quarterback personally.
I agree.
All right.
Next up, the Giants, and this is how we talked about earlier, the trade. What do you think the value would be for the Saints or any other team to move up pick 7?
All right. Well, let's see here. So let's say we have, personally, I think the Saints are got to be aggressive. They traded up. They traded with the Eagles for this draft. They got rid of their pick, as we can see here. They got rid of their first-round pick to the Eagles next year. So they know they're not getting a quarterback next year.
Yeah, it has to be this year.
Know that. It has to be this year. And for me personally, I think that's going to have to require both picks. What they could get is possibly a compensation, like this 5th-round pick or whatever. The way that this website's using it is that they're basically saying it's 6th round, and that's fair. But they maybe just want like a 5th round next year because it's slim pickings. Yeah. So I think they would be happy with maybe getting the 5th round next year. They get 7, and the Giants get 16 and 19.
Yep, I'm cool with it.
All right. And the only reason I think that this works more is because of the way we were talking about earlier, with the fact that 19 can be just as good as 7. And Seattle probably isn't trading up for 9. The Steelers don't have as many picks as the Saints this year. And it's pick 20, so it's even farther down. So to me, the clear and obvious choice for a team to have the most draft capital move up and the team that is aggressive is the Saints. So we're going to go ahead and make this trade with the Saints. Well, Giants United, we'll send it again. Sometimes it just does it like that. But personally, I think this is a good deal. Yep, there it goes.
There it goes.
So now it goes to which quarterback are we taking? And it's probably realistically between Willis and Pickett.
Yep.
I personally think Pickett is a better quarterback right now, but as we discussed earlier, they don't need a quarterback right now. They want a quarterback for next year. And I think Malik Willis could possibly be the next Lamar Jackson. The way that he runs, and he's thicker than Lamar Jackson, he's going to break more tackles. He can probably stay healthier, has a cannon of an arm. And to me, just Malik Willis is the ultimate prospect at quarterback, that if you can get this small school kid and get him to NFL ready, I think he could blow it up.
No, yeah, I'm 100%. Like you said, Malik Willis is probably better for the long term, the long run. Obviously, Kenny Pickett, if you want a starter right now, is probably the best selection. But I do agree with your take that Malik Willis, I think, has a lot of potential, more so of a kind of sit out year, kind of like Trey Lance, but maybe, towards the end of the season, and maybe how they did Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith, did that the last game, he'll start kind of get prepared for next year, kind of like, kind of like a preseason this year towards the end of the season, but actually getting real time. So that's how I see the Saints working if they do get Malik Willis. But I do agree. I think it would be Malik Willis, whoever trades up for a quarterback.
All right. So we're going Malik Willis to the Saints in the trade.
Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons at pick 8. I don't expect any trades here. No. I believe actually believe it or not, I think right here is where the first wide receiver gets taken. They need help desperately at wide receiver.
I completely agree. You look at their depth chart on wide receiver, it is the worst in the league by far.
Now, what's interesting is what wide receiver they go. They obviously have Garrett Wilson on board, Drake London. Now, personally for me, I think Jameson Williams is the best wide receiver in this class.
Same.
Unfortunately, he had that knee injury. And I would not be surprised if it is Jameson Williams here.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake of this mock draft, I'm going to go ahead and say Garrett Wilson now.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Jameson Williams is the overall best wide receiver. I think his injury is actually not too bad. I want to say he was.
Oh, yeah, he'll be ready for training camp.
He's already like running on the field, like just catching balls and things like that. He's obviously not going 100%, but I think the way that modern medicine is now, when did he get hurt? He got hurt in
the championship
early January.
Yeah,
early January. So by the time he starts football is September. We're looking at 9 months. That's about the time they give these injuries. Now he's probably going to miss majority of training camp going 100%. So he probably won't get a lot of playing time to like week 3 or 4. But that's not that bad, man. But when you look at Garrett Wilson and Drake London, you see just as good as prospects. One of the deepest wide receiver class. And I agree. Personally, I like Garrett Wilson more than Drake London, just because London does have an issue with separation. Now he makes up for it in the way his body and his control in the air, but Garrett Wilson's just as good as that. He's faster. I agree. I think this is going to be Garrett Wilson.
All right, so we agree right there. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks with their selection, pick 9. Now this is interesting as well because they could definitely get a quarterback here if they really want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like Drew Lock as their starting quarterback. I haven't heard anything that they dislike him, but I haven't heard anything that they want him as a starting quarterback. So this is a selection where I really can't see them going quarterback, but it's just, I feel like Seattle's just such a hard read right now. What do you think?
Seattle makes the mistake of overdrafting first round talent every single year. The issue is they're usually at pick 28.
Yeah.
Now they're at pick 9. So it matters even more here. The only quarterback they have brought in to their top 30 visits has been Desmond Ridder. And to be honest, I think that might be their guy.
He very well could be their guy.
He's actually very smart. Like there's tape on him. There's a lot of people that think actually he could possibly be the best quarterback. His deep ball is beautiful. It's just, I think people have that whole Cincinnati thing on him, and just he still has some issues, but he's smart. He's a smart football player. His deep ball is good. He's actually pretty athletic. He's not obviously athletic as Malik Willis, but he can run the ball. He's not Baker Mayfield running in a 4.9. He ran like a 4.7, I think, 4.6. So he has some speed to him. I think we could also see Charles Cross here because they did also re-sign Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a favorite up there in Seattle for some reason. You got Drew Lock, who Pete Carroll's been raving about for some reason. You got all the You got 2 second-round picks. They could easily trade up and to pick, let's say, 31 with the Bengals and get that 5th-year option, and maybe Ritter's still there. So I think when you're here at Seattle and you have the ammo to trade up in this draft, and your quarterback is still, let's say you like Pickett and you like Ritter, and maybe they also like Corral. Maybe there's 3 quarterbacks there, and they know one of those is going to be there at the end of the first round, and their offensive line is terrible. It's always terrible. Charles Cross immediately fixes that. So to me, I think they're sitting here, and personally, I think it's either Charles Cross or Desmond Ridder, but I think they go Charles Cross because they think they can get Desmond Ridder later on. You're not going to get Charles Cross in the 2nd round. You're not going to get a player like that in this draft. So that's my argument. I don't know if you agree with it, but this is why we're doing this. I think it's Charles Cross if I'm Seattle here.
The reason I'm going to say Charles Cross for the fact that I don't see even 2 quarterbacks going top 10. I only see 1 at most, which we already have Malik Willis. I just don't think this is the year to trade up for quarterbacks unless you really do believe it's your guy. But like you said, they can trade back into the first round to get their quarterback. I think Desmond Ridder's probably going to go past pick 20 anyway, so they're not going to have to trade too much up to get him. So I'm cool with going with Charles Cross here.
All right. That's what we're making here. Now we go back to the New York Jets.
Yep, and they've already got their offensive tackle. Now they're in a pretty predicament.
They're in a very good spot right here. I'm looking at the top 4 guys. That's solid.
They either can get Jermaine Johnson, in my opinion, or Derek Stingley. I think those would be the 2 options here for them.
Yeah.
So either get their corner or their edge rusher. I think their secondary last year was actually pretty underrated, in my opinion, for the Jets. Man. And with that division with Josh Allen, I think you just need to get to the quarterback. So I'm actually going to go Jermaine Johnson here.
The only thing I'm hesitant about Jermaine Johnson is that they did have Carl Lawson was one of their big free agency last year.
Yeah, he got hurt.
He had a season-ending injury, so that's why he didn't play. So you're getting him back, and then they extended their other guy. God, was it Myers? It's like a hyphenated Myers. I can't remember what the first part is. I think it's like John Franklin Myers. Now it's coming back to me. So they're pretty set actually on their edge, and they play 4-3. You still got CJ Mosley back there. Their secondary is pretty good, but they want the next Revis Island, in my opinion. And Kyle Hamilton's also there. Their safeties really isn't that good. They got Bryce Hall. They got Nichols, who was another guy that they liked a lot. And the corner class just isn't that good.
Yeah, and the way I'm looking at how the next few picks might go, I do think the Jets could be Derek Stingley here.
Yeah, I personally think this is going to be Derek Stingley Jr. I think they missed out on Gardner because of the Texans, and I think they went with offensive tackle because of that, because they knew Derek Stingley Jr. is probably going to fall to 10. So to me, that's who I'm taking is Derek Stingley.
Yep, I agree. We'll go with Derek Stingley right here. So Jets actually overall have a great draft so far.
I actually like the Jets overall team. You look at the team that they're building and their draft capital this year, man, they may not be, it's all on Zach Wilson, man. It's all on Zach Wilson. If he's legit or not, if he's legit, they could have a really good team.
Absolutely. And then right here, we have Washington pick 11. For me, Kyle Hamilton, I think he's a selection. I think he's a favorite right now for that selection. They haven't had a safety, a really, really good safety since Sean Taylor. I don't think he's going to be obviously as good as Sean Taylor, but I mean, overall, a lot of people still think Kyle Hamilton is the best player in this draft, but there's a good chance he's going to fall out of pick 10. And I know that he is one of the favorites to go to Washington. I think that's where he's going to land up.
Yeah, they also got rid of Landon Collins, who was their starting safety, so they got a pretty good hold there. So I agree with you. I think Washington is ecstatic that Kyle Hamilton fell out of the top 10. They didn't have to trade up for him.
Absolutely. Now we're on the Minnesota Vikings. We can already go ahead and cross off quarterback and wide receiver, in my opinion. I think right here you're looking at maybe get Jermaine Johnson getting another pass rusher, or even potentially it might be a reach, but Trevor Penning, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. They definitely need help with the offensive line right now, in my personal opinion. He's obviously starting offensive tackle, he can play left tackle or even play right tackle. So he's very versatile. Personally, for me, I'm going to go Trayvon Penning. Might be a reach here, but that's just the way I think things could end up.
I think I don't know why. I just feel like Minnesota's going to trade out of here.
No, they very well could, because I
think this is a very tradable pick. I think they really like their team. You got a new head coach. You got a new GM. They're going to want to build this roster as much as possible with their guys. So they're going to think, do we want to pick 12 or do we want to trade down, let's say well, probably not Green Bay. They're not going to trade to our rivals, but maybe like Arizona or Dallas, the Bills, some playoff team that it thinks they're one piece away.
I'll tell you what, though, don't be surprised here though with Kansas City Chiefs. They need another wide receiver. They have the draft capital now at pick 29 and 30 to come up and get their wide receiver.
Do we want to let's play this out here as if the Chiefs are going to be trying to trade up with Minnesota? Why can I not find there? They are. All right. Yeah, I mean, look at this draft capital. If they don't trade up, they're probably doing something wrong. And you got some good wide receivers there that will not be here. So we're thinking we'll see. That's what I was thinking. I think they'll be able to keep one of theirs. I think they could
give me a second round or third round.
So maybe like this. What I personally like doing mocks, I feel like teams are going to try to do like stuff like this too. Like, hey, you can have our 7th, but we also want to go to your 6th.
No,
it's kind of like a give and take. Yeah. Like we move up, but we also move up kind of like in the later rounds kind of situation. And then it kind of works out. I personally like this. I think it kind of balances everything out. And I think the Chiefs would pull this in a heartbeat, moving from 29, 62 and 233 to get 12 and 184.
Another team also is the Packers. They have 2 first rounds. They have picked 22 and 28, and they need a wide receiver as well.
I just don't see Minnesota being like, here you go.
No, yeah, of course.
We have to kill this every single year. Here, Aaron Rodgers, have your number 1 receiver.
No, absolutely. They're not in a trade within the division, but that's a team that's probably, you can definitely be interested in a wide receiver and potentially could be trading up. But if we are doing trades, I think honestly the most realistic is probably going to be the Kansas City Chiefs at this point.
Yeah, I like this offer right here.
I'm cool with it. And just for the mock draft, it might not even happen at all, but we got to make
odds are it's not going to happen. Just
we got to make things a little interesting here, a little unrealistic, right?
Right, exactly. So now we got here. Okay, there we go. I thought it was going to freeze on me for a second. I think the pick is Jameson Williams.
Oh, so do I. Absolutely. If they're trading up, they're getting Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I don't see Drake London fitting necessarily. Although just imagine Patrick Mahomes just chucking it downfield to Drake London, and Drake London just picks it out of the air. But I think Jameson Williams' speed and just the way he's able to handle the ball, I think he could be a replacement for Tyreek Hill. He may not be as fast as Tyreek Hill, but I think the versatility that he can play in the slot and outside, he can play anywhere. He's the guy. Drake London is more of just, we're going to throw it deep to you, big guy. Hope you get it.
No, yeah.
And Jameson Williams is kind of a jack of all trades, and that's kind of what they need. So I personally would go.
No,
didn't they get Scantling?
Oh, yeah, they did.
He's kind of like Drake London. Just throw it down there and go get it.
And they also have Juju, but I feel like that they seem like they're still wanting another wide receiver, though.
Yeah, they need it. They desperately need it. So I agree here. I think this is Jameson Williams.
No, absolutely. And I think right here is where we're going to start seeing a run at wide receiver soon. But obviously we have the Texans at pick 13, another first round selection. And I think they have a phenomenal player that falls to them right here. I feel like you already knew how I'm about to say Jermaine Johnson from Florida.
We talked about it earlier, man. I think this is their ideal. I think if they come out of this and to get Jermaine Johnson and Ahmad Gardner, I think they're like, we won this for us kind of situation.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a Texans fan. I'm ecstatic.
Jermaine Johnson, a lot of people, personally, I think he arguably could be the best pass rusher in this class.
He can do it all, man.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I personally think the Baltimore Ravens are fine with staying put where they are currently at.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a matter of, do they want to get better at the defensive line position? A team that's always had, no problem getting to the quarterback, get some more offensive line help, or potentially do they even go wide receiver? I really don't know what they're going to do here. What are your thoughts?
I was listening to, I didn't think about it because I don't follow the Ravens. Their center, Bazemore, is no longer on the team. He's been their starting center for the last couple of years, been really, really good.
Are you thinking Tyler Linderbaum?
Who is it? I don't know if it was Todd or Mel Kiper, but they're the ones brought it up, and I was listening to it, and I was like, I didn't even think about that. But, man, you put Tyler Linderbaum in their center position. Now, do you take a center at 14? Not quite sure, especially with this interior draft class. I mean, look how many are in the top 100. I mean, seriously. And then some of these guys are considered like they're rising up on boards. Where's the guy that never say they don't follow these too much?
Mays? Or the guy from
Cam Jurgens is really all of a sudden going up. A lot of people like him. So there's a lot of good center prospects. So maybe they wait. I was just floating that out there as an idea because I do think Linderbaum is one of the best center prospects that's come out in a very long time. And they just lost their veteran center. And I don't think they replaced him with anybody. They've replaced their interior defensive line. They brought Campbell back. They got Michael Pierce. So they did some work there. Jordan Davis would be a great pick here. Trent McDuffie could also be, because they need secondary help. This, honestly, I'm pretty lost on this Ravens pick. I think it could go so many different ways. So I think they're just going to take best player available. And to me, the best player available on this draft board right now is Jordan Davis. And I think you put Calais Campbell, Jordan Davis, and Michael Pierce on that, like the front on first, you're not running the ball. Like they would probably go edge rusher here, but I don't know if George, what is it, Kolofis? I can't pronounce that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's worth 14. So you kind of look at the next best player, and to me, the best player available at this point to me by far is Jordan Davis.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. They also need help at wide receiver. I could see wide receiver as well. Another target for Lamar Jackson.
They always go for wide receivers, and it just never works out. That's my and Hollywood Brown's actually not looking bad. Bateman was looking good till he got hurt. Their identity is in the ground game. They got Mark Andrews, who's basically a wide receiver. It's a loaded class. That's the only reason I don't think they go wide receiver here.
Yeah, and also I think it's too early to take the center Tyler Linderbaum already.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm in the same boat with you. We'll go Jordan Davis from Georgia.
But I agree. This pick, I have no idea. Whatever happens here, I love all these guys on this board. But to me, Jordan Davis is by far the best prospect on this.
Nope. Yeah, I agree. So next up, we got your Philadelphia Eagles at pick 15. They also have pick 18. Obviously, had that trade with the Saints earlier a few weeks ago. Personally, I think this is, you might not like it. I think they're going to go corner here. I mean, you see a lot of mock drafts they have going here. Potentially maybe Trent McDuffie from Washington, who actually has a lot of skills and has the tools to be a great corner, or Andrew Booth, the corner from Clemson. Or I could see him also going maybe even Devontae Wyatt. I've seen, I mean, Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis falls to 15. I think he's going to be the
he's that is one thing I screwed my Eagles in this. If Jordan Davis there at 15, with Fletcher Cox being this is his last year, Brandon Graham's getting up there in numbers too. They got Ryan Kerrigan out of there. They got good depth on the interior defensive line now. But if you add Jordan Davis into that, they'll still continue to have one of the best defensive lines for the next 10 years. With Hargraves, Milton, Josh Sweat, and add Jordan Davis into there. I mean, Derek Barnett's still there, but I agree with you. I think they're going to go corner here. They really like Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, that's
they got Darius Slay. They got Maddox, and then they got no one else.
And Trent McDuffie can play inside and outside, so he's very versatile.
He would be their nickel.
Yep,
him and Maddox are kind of the same thing, so it kind of go whoever probably wins. But then you have your three guys. And to me, I think that's the pick here. Corners not as deep as the other positions.
Especially with Darius Slay getting older. You don't know, maybe he's out of his prime in 2-3 years, and now you have Trent McDuffie just now coming into his prime. So I think it kind of all gonna play out very well for the Eagles.
I agree. So Trent McDuffie.
So now we have the New York Giants back on the clock again after that trade earlier. They did pick Kavon Thibodeau, edge rusher from Oregon. So obviously they can go offensive lineman here if they want to. I can even see them going wide receiver to get more help for the in the wide receiver room, especially with Kadarius Toney. I sort of seen those reports of him. Obviously, it's voluntary. He doesn't have to show up, but it seems like he's not there. Like not there as in like in the head. Like he seems like he doesn't want to be playing football. It's kind of like the
CJ Henderson.
That's what it's
like. It's a Florida thing. It's whatever it is, man. It's just they don't want to play football.
No, absolutely. Like he's all the talent, and hopefully, it is only volunteer, so you shouldn't make that big of a deal out of it. But when your head coach says it's a little concerning that it seems like he's not football ready right now, that's definitely eye opening, especially for a player with that type of talent. Where do you see the Giants going with this pick?
I see Trevor Penning. Their offensive line always needs help every single year. Trevor Penning, after this pick, it falls. I could easily see the Chargers wanting Trevor Penning here because they needed a right tackle desperately for the Chargers. Slater's their left tackle, but man, I looked up their draft chart the other day. I don't think I even know who the right tackle is. And there's no more market for him. I think that's the pick next at 17. If you're the Giants at 19, Penning's not going to be there. So to me, you pick the guy who you know is not going to be there at your pick. And then that way you're not kind of like screwing yourself like, oh, we could have had him at 19. We lost our guy at 16. So to me, Trevor Penning's the pick. And you try to get him with Andrew Thomas to work out, who started finally playing decent for them near the end of the year, and see if you can get his Andrew Thomas. Trevor Penning will probably get the nastiest like awards for like sack. Like, that was Andrew Thomas's big thing coming out of college, was that he was just nasty. Trevor Penning's thing is that he's just nasty. Even in the Senior Bowl, he was throwing guys around after the whistle, trying to get into fights. And I think that's what they kind of want in New York. So to me, I think the pick is Trevor Penning.
I can see it. Obviously, you want to protect Daniel Jones if you still believe Daniel Jones is a quarterback, and obviously, you want to get better.
Protect your quarterback for the future kind of situation.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that. You let him get prepared for next year.
Yep.
I'm cool with drafting Trevor Penning here. All right. So next up, we have the Chargers. Obviously, their offensive tackle just got drafted by the Giants, but we still have other good offensive linemen. You have Zion Johnson, Tyler Linderbaum, Kenyon Green, even potentially Tyler Smith, who I've seen projected in the later first round.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, do not be surprised here at all if they still go wide receiver. Do not be surprised at all, even though they could have a good trio of wide receivers here. I could also see them going potentially linebacker or even maybe another corner as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chargers is just in a weird spot. If I was a Chargers, I really consider trading out of it.
That's where I was going with it. I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, what teams do you think potentially?
Drake London's there, and if you're the Packers and you see the Eagles and there, to me, Packers are jumping to give the Chargers a trade right here.
Yeah, they probably need to do one of the first rounds, and then yep, exactly what you're doing.
Second, and then probably some stupid because I never like to see very likely, because then it's kind of like, well, that's obviously a big thing.
But maybe like a fifth in return. Yeah, I could definitely see that right there.
Something like this. I could see this. I think this is the way it's going to go. It could possibly be pick 28 too. Maybe the Chargers want like 28 and 53 instead. I don't like that.
There's a lot of wiggle room right there.
What?
A lot of wiggle room for the Packers.
Somehow the thing doesn't like that. I personally actually almost like it more. But whatever. We'll go with 22 and we'll go with 59, and they get the 5th round pick from the Chargers. Man, it almost always goes through. I don't know why. It's stupid. That's a good trade to me. And it's Drake London. Do we even have to talk about this one?
No, yeah, it's Drake London. Packers get their guy. So now we are back with the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles could go wide receiver here, potentially, Chris Olave if they really want. Treylon Burks actually is a very potential good selection here. They definitely do need another wide receiver. Maybe even you also have Wyatt from Georgia. They do need help at linebacker, so you're looking at potential Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, and Quay Walker. And I do think they need linebacker. As of right now, I would honestly go with Devin Lloyd here.
That's where I was going to go. The Eagles need a linebacker really bad. I am shocked it's that low on this thing, probably because they got Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is a pass rusher. He's not a linebacker. Their linebacking core is okay at best. Devin Lloyd makes this so much better. He's the best linebacker in the class, you ask me. He's versatile, can pass rush, he can drop back, and they can finally get maybe a good linebacker. Eagles used to be known for linebackers, man, and they haven't had any since Jeremiah Trotter pretty much. Nigel Bradman and Jordan Hicks probably the best thing they've had in the last 20 years. So I think Devin Lloyd would be their pick here. I completely agree with that.
No, absolutely. So next up, we have the New York Giants. For me, I'm already looking at potentially Devontae Wyatt or maybe even Zion Johnson.
Yeah.
Or even potentially Chris Olave. But for Giants, obviously, they already have a pretty decent defense. I think there's nothing wrong with getting the defense line, better. But Giants did pick Thibodeau, so there probably is no need to get another defense lineman. This is another scenario. If I was the Giants, I'd even consider trading. But you're looking at maybe they want Daxton Hill.
I think they want Daxton. I don't know if I'm making that obvious with this cursor or not.
Okay.
I think he's one of the best nickel safety guys. He's a freak athlete, and I think he fits them pretty good here. Him or Zion Johnson, I feel like are the picks. I just don't feel like how you said they kind of already addressed defensive line. They addressed their offensive line. They addressed their offensive line, and in the offseason, they didn't do too much with their secondary. They're actually trying to get rid of their secondary. So to me, next best secondary player is Jacksonville. That's kind of just where I was going. I didn't mean to like take it over or whatever. Just I think that's the pick.
No, absolutely. I was getting to that. And then it's funny you said you had your cursor over Jackson Hill. I was like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
All right. So
let's
we're
go
going
to
Jacksonville.
Yeah. All right. So now we're at the Pittsburgh Steelers here. And I think right here is where the next quarterback is going to get taken, in my personal opinion. I really do.
I do too.
I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, college kid. So he knows Pittsburgh very well. He can play in Pittsburgh weather, even though his hands are like undersized or whatever. Another measurement thing that's shown that we shouldn't focus on measurements with these guys. You should look at tape and their production. If they can do it, they can do it. And I agree. I think Kenny Pickett, he'll go right in there and battle Trubisky for the starting job immediately. I don't hate Trubisky, but I think if you have Kenny Pickett and Trubisky, much better than Roethlisberger. You come in with a better offensive line than you had last year. They're going to Najee Harris another year. You get Juju out of there. So now you have Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Get your quarterback, man. I think Kenny Pickett could be legit. And I think he could be a really good pick at pick 20.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%.
There we go. That's the first mistake of me.
Oh, double click. Okay, it's no big deal.
I don't hate the pick though. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate the pick.
I do think, though, for the Patriots, obviously they got rid of J.C. Jackson. I think they need help in the secondary. I think you're looking at potentially Andre Booth from Clemson here.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
But I don't want to mess everything up on your mock draft right here on your screen. So I'm cool with going Devontae Wyatt here. I really am. And I do need help at pass rusher.
They need. I think you put him with Christian Barmore, and I think it's a beast. Obviously, this was a mistake, but it could be a happy mistake. Who knows? That's what happens when you use the keypad instead of the mouse. You get a little bit of a double click action going on here. I was worried about that the whole night, and it happened. So there we go with that. But like we said, with Wyatt, it could easily be possibly the edge rusher out of Purdue. I also feel like it could be Andre Booth because they do need a corner. It could be Zion Johnson. They got rid of Shaq Mason to the Bucs, the Patriots 2.0. So, and I could also Wyatt's just he's just a badass, man. He's one of the dogs in this class. He has a few off-field issues, but it seems like the Patriots way just fixes all that. And I think Belichick's looking at it and go, man, I can get a nasty guy, put him and Barmore next to each other. And man, what a dominant interior defensive line. And so it could go that way. Who knows? Really, we don't know. Maybe it's a happy accident.
There you go. So we'll make that a positive, and we'll go with Devontae Wyatt to the New England Patriots. Next up, we do have the Chargers. From the Chargers, I'm looking at Zion Johnson or maybe even Kenyon Green here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think Kenyon Green offers more versatility on the offensive line, and he could play right tackle.
Yeah.
Zion's more there's a reason he was practicing as center at the Senior Bowl, because he knows he's interior. He's an interior offensive lineman. And I think Kenyon Green gives you a bunch of versatility. He could easily fit in that right tackle position. And if we look at what's left, we're looking at a guy who really is developmental. Farrell, who's just a giant guy, and then it really falls off. So to me, they're looking at this and going, Kenyon Green, Tyler Smith, probably between these two, if I had to guess. And I think they're going to go with Kenyon Green just because he's more versatile.
I'm cool with that selection as well. All right, so now we have the Arizona Cardinals. I think, can go wide receiver here, but also they got Chandler Jones, went off of fantasy, joined the Raiders. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, though, but George.
Guy from Purdue, edge rusher from Purdue.
Yep, we'll just say edge rusher from Purdue. That's who I think they're going to be looking at edge rusher here.
I could see that. I could also see this could possibly be where we start getting some of the second rounds picks coming into the first round. Just because the Cardinals, they have a good team, man. I do fear they're gonna just panic what happened against them with the Rams and how bad that was, and not just stick to their game plan and just throw everything in the wall and say, no, we have to try something new and go crazy. And maybe we do need Chris Olave and just run 6 receivers all the time. But to me, I agree. I think the edge rusher from Purdue could easily fill Chandler Jones's role. Obviously, he's not going to be Chandler Jones. There's a reason Chandler Jones has got his contract, one of the best edge rushers in the league. I think he leads all sacks in the last 10 years or whatever situation that is. But I think the edge rusher from Purdue, George, I think he could fill that role pretty good well.
Nope. Yep. I agree 100%. So we're going to go edge rusher from Purdue. Now we are at your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. Just kidding.
Yeah, love them.
Here, I mean, they could go offensive line because they did have a few of their offensive linemen leave. One of them, what's his name, went to the Dolphins.
Connor Williams.
Connor Williams. So I
Okay.
can see them going offensive lineman. Potentially, like it looks like you already have Zion Johnson on there, or as well maybe even. I know it's going to sound crazy, but I could see them even going wide receiver, even if they traded Amari Cooper.
I was thinking
So a definitely interesting spot, but I think they will end up going Zion Johnson though.
I agree. I think they really want to focus on the running game again. I think their offensive line it's not the same offensive line as it was 4 years ago when it had like Travis Frederick, it had Zach Martin, it had Tyron Smith, and like it was just a monster offensive line. It's not the same anymore. They lost a couple of guys. Travis Frederick, unfortunately, had that big health issue that he had to quit football for. So a lot of the stuff was taken out of their hands. It wasn't necessarily he left. I think Zion Johnson could easily fill that role for them. And I think that will help out Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, and Dak Prescott.
Yep. All right. So now we are at the Buffalo Bills. If I'm the Bills, if he's here at pick 25, I don't think he will be, but if Andrew Booth is here, they need another corner, in my opinion. You put him with Tre'Davious White, that's a nasty duo, in my opinion. Also, they could use help it maybe a little bit more at pass rusher as well. I just think they're going to go defense here unless they go offensive lineman. But with Andrew Booth still being there, if I was the Bills, I would take Andrew Booth.
Would you possibly think of a trade here?
Seattle could come up and get their quarterback now, though.
I think AFC, NFC, that's been a thing in this trade. They don't want to help out their own competition. You're not helping out. You're not hurting yourself, giving Seattle possibly their quarterback of the future.
I'm cool.
Seattle
trading up.
I think the Bills are there. Yeah. If you look at Seattle, we look here, we go to the Bills. These two picks right here, man, for this, and maybe like they're even saying that's over. So probably like something like this. I could see this. Maybe they give up like the 6 or whatever. So that way they have a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
But, I could see this happening every day of the week. Seattle comes up, gets their quarterback. There has been rumors that Tennessee could possibly rebuilding, man. I mean, A.J. Brown's throwing his little wide receiver fiasco that's going around the league. Tannehill's getting older. They could possibly say, maybe we get our quarterback here for the future. And if next year it doesn't work, Derrick Henry's not getting any younger for a running back. A.J. Brown wants out. Ryan Tannehill's getting older. I think there could be a fear there that Tennessee might pick out, obviously, maybe even the Bucks. Packers, who knows what they're doing. Vikings, Kirk Cousins only going to. So you never know. I think Seattle wants the 5th-year option as well. The Lions may want to come up so that way they secure their quarterback. And I think Seattle, like Desmond Ridder at pick 9, and they waited for him all the way here to the end of the draft to trade up. I think the Bills are the perfect candidate of a team that is already Super Bowl ready, and they're like, let's just get more draft capital.
No, I'm cool with that 100%.
And this is 100% going to go through with us, very likely.
So we are going Desmond Ridder, quarterback.
Yep, I think I kept saying Ridder, or Riddle. We're going with Desmond with the quarterback from Cincinnati.
There we go. Now we have the Tennessee Titans. Honestly, I would not be shocked at all if it's Matt Corral here. I will not be shocked at all.
With who?
Matt Corral, quarterback.
Oh,
they like him.
What I was just talking about with Ridder, man, it could be.
But I've seen a lot of mock drafts with Tyler Smith potentially for the Titans. He's very versatile. He can play. Obviously, he's a starting guard right away. Very athleticism, versatile, and obviously Titans definitely need some help on the offensive line. Protect the quarterback. Derrick Henry's obviously still back there, so you want to make sure that run game's always going well. So I personally think it's gonna be Tyler Smith.
Yeah, I'm not making a trade. I just need to check something. Do they have? That's what I thought. I remember they don't have a 2nd-round pick, so they're gonna have to go with someone who will not be there, will not fall. I think the wide receiver class is too good this year. the tackle interior line. Tyler Smith is probably the best tackle available because next to these guys are all projects. So I agree with you. I think they could easily fit Tyler Smith in here and just try to keep that run game going for a couple more years.
I agree. All right, so now we get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very interesting spot here. I could see them going corner. I can even see them going safety, potentially maybe even Lewis Kind from Georgia. Oh man, even edge rush, $2. They're just a well-built team right now with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, when you're coming to the Bucs, I think you're just picking the best player available.
Yeah, I agree. And are we that so that we're looking at, in my mind, 4 names. We're looking at the four that are there: Chris Olave, Booth, Linderbaum, and Dotson. I think after that, honestly, for me, it falls off. I don't know if they need wide receiver, man. They got Chris Godwin, you got Mike Evans, you got
a receiver like Dotson, who's very, he's a smaller style guy. He's someone type of receiver they don't have.
Right. Kind of like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's not really not that big of a guy.
Yeah.
But they do have wide receivers there. They got Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota, kind of their prospect they've been working on. They still got, Miller, Scotty Miller, that they like him. I don't know if they still have him. I assume they did. But yeah, man, I don't know. I could see Jahan Dotson here. I think you just try to give Brady as much weapons as possible. We all pretty much know it's going to be Bucs versus Rams. And what we saw with the Rams offense, they're going to have to match it. And I think they're going to look at it, and I think Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady are going to be like, give us the best receiver.
Yeah, I can even see Boya Maffey, edge rusher from Minnesota as well.
I could see that too, because they did. I don't know. Is Jason Pierre-Paul signed?
No,
I think he was a free agent. I don't think he's signed yet. I don't know if he's retiring.
I think Sue's a free agent too, isn't he?
Yeah, so they lost a lot on their. But I think did they bring anybody in? I gotta look it up. What the Bucs depth chart. That team has changed so much.
So if they they couldn't need help on the defensive line though.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean they run a 3-4. So you got Patrick O'Connor, Vita Vea, William Goldson, and then their edge rushers are Barrett and Anthony Nelson.
And with Boya, he is a developmental guy right away, so he doesn't have to start right away. He kind of can learn. So I mean, I can actually see that selection though as well though.
I could too, man. Maybe try to fit him opposite of Barrett.
You want to go with that selection right now?
I think so. I was on the wide receiver, but I forgot they added Russell Gage. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so let's go Boya.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Boya Mafe from Minnesota.
All right, so now we are at pick 29, which is the Minnesota Vikings.
We're at the Packers. We're at 28 with the Packers.
Oh, 28. Yep, I was thinking at 29. It's 28. The Packers. We already went ahead and drafted. Who did we get earlier with the Packers?
We got the wide receiver, Drake London. They traded up. Somehow Drake London fell.
But they could honestly, if they really wanted to. They got Sammy Watkins. They could go another wide receiver if they really want to, though, here. Or you may even see Andrew Booth potentially. Maybe they want another safety as well, or even maybe David Ojobu from Michigan, because they
it could be Ojobu because Rashawn Gary, another Michigan guy, is their other pass rusher with Preston Smith.
And they do run 3-4, I think, right?
They do.
And
I could see you get a 5th-year option, so you get that extra year for him missing the year for injury. You get a top 10 pick at pick 28. And if you're the Packers and you got Drake London and David Ojabo to move forward, I think that's a pretty good steal.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so now we're at pick 29 with the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, the kind of what I said just a minute ago, because I thought we were at that selection. I'm going to go ahead and cross off the wide receiver position. But for me, I'm looking at corner Andrew Booth from Clemson. I think they need help in that secondary. I would be shocked if Andrew Booth is here. I mean, I will absolutely be shocked. But if he's here, I think in the Vikings, that this trade scenario landed out, happened, I think they would run to the podium.
Yeah. Well, guys fall all the time, man. And especially when you have people trading up for quarterbacks, you have offensive line, which is one of the best positions to draft in my opinion. Like, you got to build for the future. You always build offensive line. We had a lot of those guys go. And so you end up getting guys like Andrew Booth. You get guys like Chris Olave, Tyler Linderbaum, Dotson falling when you don't think they're going to. It happens every single year that you're watching it. At the end of the round, you're like, he's still available. And I think we're going to see a lot of that right here. I agree. I think it is Andrew Booth.
Yep. All right, so now we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, they picked Jameson Williams, have another wide receiver. I think they're set at the offensive weapon room, like wide receiver, tight end. I can see them going offense lineman, but I think they do need help in that secondary. And Khalil Elman from Florida, the corner. I know he's kind of going up a lot of people's draft boards, and I could see him. He can go ahead and play outside right away. He's a pretty good zone corner, so that's who I would pick in the selection.
I think we got to talk at least a little bit about safety position. They lost Tyrann Mathieu.
They did.
And I think they
did sign what's the name from the Texans for a $3 or $30 million contract.
Yeah, but I think he's more of like a free safety and signs more of like that tweener linebacker, safety, nickel kind of guy, where that's kind of like what Matthew plays. Right now they got Justin Reed and Juwan.
Yeah, Justin Reed. I couldn't think of his name for a second.
Yeah, they got Rashawn Felton and Snead. And then, yeah, their secondary, Chris Lamons, DeAndre Baker, Zane Anderson, Brandon Dandridge.
They need help.
Luke Bakara is on their depth chart.
Luke Bakara, yeah.
Yeah,
but I think safety or corner is where it's going to be. But they did get since they did do Justin Reed. Do you think it would be corner here?
Thornhill's not a terrible safety here. They got Justin Reed as a strong safety. Yeah, it probably would be corner just because I'm looking at their depth right now, and man, it's bad. Their depth is bad. They probably are just going to be like whatever is the best corner. Now, could this possibly be Kyle Gordon? Kyle Gordon was at one time a first-round pick, and I'm not sure why he's falling. He can play inside, he can play outside, so he gives you a little more versatility. While Elam, I think, is more of an outside guy, and I think Snead and Fenton are both outside guys, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're really nickel guys.
If you want, we can do the risk here, and you make your selection who you think it's going to be.
I personally like Kyle Gordon. I don't really know why he's fallen out. He was at one point like going into the high 20s, like the low 20s, like 21, 22 kind of situation. You need versatile corners nowadays. You need guys that can play on the inside, and Khalil is just pure outside. They have outside corners. They need inside corners. He can also, probably play strong safety kind of situation. Nickel was at the star position. So special teams guy, I just feel like Kyle Gordon gives you a more overall football player than Elam.
Yeah, I'm cool with that then. I'm cool with going Kyle Gordon. All right, so now we got the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Cincinnati Bengals are interested spot. Do they want to go with Tyler Linderbaum? Did they sign someone in free agency for the center position?
Yeah, Ted Corral.
That's right, they did. He used to be the Patriots, and then he went to the Dolphins, I think, right?
But they got rid of their center previously, who wasn't that bad. So it's a lot of people were really confused. And their left guard is Jackson Carman. You got Alex Kappa, Bill Collins, Jonah Williams. Man, if Tyler Linderbaum is there at 31, to me, if I'm the Bengals, and you can easily just move Karras over to guard, that's really what he is. He's a guard center. Put Linderbaum at center, you now have easily one of the top. They already have one of the top offenses moving forward. You add Linderbaum, who could possibly be the best center moving forward in the league, I think, in like 2 or 3 years from now. To me, I think they would easily run this up and pick Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, I agree with that. But a selection. So it's kind of like if the Bengals, they want to do the selection. I don't think they will, but if they want to get another weapon, and tight end is no position of that's going to go first round, but Trey McBride is the best tight end in this draft.
He is. So do you think maybe they trade down from here and maybe?
I think Bengals stay put. And I honestly, if Tyler Linderbaum's here, I think it's Tyler Linderbaum. That's just me though.
If Tyler Linderbaum wasn't here, I could easily see the argument for Trey McBride. I could 100% see the argument because right now they're running Hayden Hurst and Drew Sample. Not necessarily the most explosive, but the other thing too about tight ends, man, Isaiah Likely, K. Dotton, Ruckett, Dulitz, Jelani Woods, and then I don't know why he's all the way down here on the Draft Network one. Charlie Coyle from Iowa State is really good. So I think the tight end, it's kind of like the same. I think we're going to be shocked at wide receivers. How many wide receivers are going to be available? I know the whole talk is we're going to have 7 wide receivers taken. I think teams are looking at this. And personally, I think Chris Olave, Dotson, and Burks should go in the first round. But I think
Chris Olave,
they're going
in the first round regardless.
John Mechie's still here. George Pickens, Christian Watson, Sky Moore. I personally can't say Sky Moore is going to be better than Treylon Burks or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just such a deep class. Calvin Austin, Tolbert, Alec Pierce. I think we're just going to have wide receivers fall because teams are going to look at it and go, we can get the same exact player in the second round kind of situation. You know what I mean? It's just it's unrealistically deep. It's going to end up hurting it. And I completely talked myself out of it. I forgot who we're picking here. Are we with Tyler Linderbaum?
Yep. Yeah. But so when we go into Detroit then would be in a very interesting spot because you got DJ Chark, who signed in free agency 1-year deal. But I mean, Chris Olave, by the way, I think Chris Olave won't make it to 32. I think Chris Olave is going in the first round, potentially.
Yeah.
You know, I think he is, but just for our mock draft, he is still here. So you have him. I think you're also going to be looking at potentially Lewis Kine from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You also think the other option would be Nakobe Dean from Georgia.
I don't think we can take away Matt Corral too, to be honest.
No, I don't think you could either. Or maybe even the other corner from Florida, Elam, that we were talking about. I think that Lions are actually in a very good spot that they can pick anyone. And I think they're obviously picking but early on in the second round. So it's not like,
they're the pick right after the Jags.
Yeah, they don't have to go ahead and really they don't got to take their time on here because if they have 4 guys, they know they're getting 2 of them because they're going to get one at 32 and they're going to get one at 34.
The biggest question is, who do you like more though? Because you get the 5th-year option with the first round. That is the only reason I'm possibly thinking they go Matt Corral here, is just because you do get that option for the 5th year. And you're getting Olave or
5th year is actually usually the best, especially the end of the first round. You're getting that, so especially anywhere from like pick 20 to 32. It's a lot of players that's not developmental, but guys that are probably going to would have been taken the second round, but you think that they can be first round talent. So you're kind of getting that extra year with them.
Exactly.
I'm cool with going Matt Corral. I will tell you this though, whenever the actual draft happens, I can definitely see in Desmond Ridder at 32 if he's there. Like that's the line selection.
I just personally think Seattle's on him. I don't know why I get that feeling. The fact that he's the only quarterback they brought in on their top 30 visits just is really telling to me. But man, I don't know. It's just, I want to pick Matt Corral here just because I think logically it makes sense. You have Jared Goff, you get Matt Corral as your backup, and you just run with Jared Goff for 1 more year. You get Matt Corral to learn the playbook. You get him time. You got Amari St. Brown. You got the running back duo there. They're not going. TJ Hawkinson isn't going anywhere. Their offensive line is actually pretty good. So to me, it's kind of like I get why it makes no sense that Chris Olave won't be a first-round pick. It makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't make any sense why Dotson, Burks, whatever. But this happens every single year, man. Every single year we see guys fall to the early second. Look at DK Metcalf. Look at God, I'm mind blank because I'm just rambling like I always do. But like, I don't know. You pick a quarterback here. I feel like it's the most important position. It's pick 32.
I'm cool with it.
5th-year option. I hate that we're not getting Chris Olave or any of these guys in here, but I think Matt Corral's the pick because I think after him it falls really bad, and the Lions might as well get the 5th-year option.
No, I agree with that 100%. Overall, though, I think that when you're looking at the draft this year, I think it's honestly the worst year to have a top 5 pick just because I feel like a lot of the best first round is middle of the first round, but a lot of the best value this year, in my opinion, is 2nd and 3rd, even 4th round this year. That's where a lot of the value is at. But when it comes to first round talent, I think the meat of the first round is like picks like 8 through like 18. I think that's where the meat of the first round is.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point with the fact of like picks like rounds 3 through 5. You can get starters in rounds 3 through 5 this draft.
Especially linebacker depth this year is unreal.
Wide receiver, linebacker,
running back depth is good as well.
Yeah, we didn't even have I think this is the new normal. We're not gonna have a running back go in the first round.
I could see the Bucs though taking, even though they did sign Leonard Fournette, I've seen mock drafts with the Bucs taking the running back in the first round. I could see that as well though.
I could also see the Bills.
Bills absolutely.
But man, you just look at the depth, and that's what I'm saying. I think we all get into the thing of the wide receiver class is so strong, the running back class is so strong, but teams know this too. So why would you pick a wide receiver at pick 25, let's just say, and let's say you pick again at pick 56 or whatever? Who really is saying we don't know if Treylon Burks is going to be better than Alec Pierce? We don't know that. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you get guys that you know are going to be better, like a Daxton Hill? You know Daxton Hill is going to be better than whatever safety is going to be there in the late second round, third round. You know, offensive line wise, Evan Neal is going to blow out of the water. Kwanu, you know that. So you're going to go with the guys that you know are more of a sure thing and better prospects when you think, oh, I can just get a guy in the second round and be just as good as Chris Olave, or maybe Chris Olave fall. So that's where I think is that we're going to get a lot of surprises this year. And the fact of when we look down here, it's like kind of what we said, it's developmental guys. I think Kyle Gordon's developmental, Booth, Ojabo has the injury, Mafe, Tyler Smith, Ritter, even Zion Johnson's kind of a developmental guy. That's just what's going to happen here. And you don't see, these are really good football teams. So what they're going to do is they want guys that they can build. They don't
Especially if the 50 that fit your option too, they don't have to play right away if they have to.
Yeah. So it's just, to me, I hate doing it, but man, I really do think we're going to have these star receivers fall into the second round, which is great for Jacksonville. If Chris Olave is there at pick 33, or even Dotson, I really like Dotson, 4 career drops. I mean, look at the quarterbacks that played at Penn State. He's not getting perfect balls thrown to him.
Yeah.
So the fact that he only has 4 drops is insane. So I think this is the best possible situation for Jacksonville going forward, is the fact of you have 4 top receivers. And I personally think they would trade down. If you have 4, all the way to Pickens, they're all good. If you have 5 receivers there at pick 33, I think there's no reason why the Jaguars shouldn't trade down and try to get, like what you said, get the meat of the draft. I would do that stupid thing I love doing. I think more teams should do, trade 33 and like 2 6th rounds for like a early 3rd or a late 2nd and like a 4th round.
Yeah.
You know, and just pack between 40 and 106. You know what I mean? Like just pack that. I want the Jags to basically own that.
Yeah. I still think no matter what pick, there's going to be some, obviously if, obviously Tyler Linderbaum's there, but I still think you've seen the reports that it seems the Jags are in love with Quay Walker though.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, man. I mean,
they need help at linebacker regardless though. Linebacker is a need though for the Jags.
It's 100%. I've always been on the part of we need an edge rusher and a linebacker, and then the rest is all offense. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if
you can get a starting linebacker,
if we have guys like Chris Olave, Tyler Linderbaum falling to us, that changes the game. And that's what we'll figure out in a week from less than a week.
Because we can get a starting linebacker in the 3rd, 4th round this year. So it's not like it's that big of a deal.
Exactly. So that's why that's the only thing I hold on, the fact of I wouldn't draft a linebacker at 33, especially if what we just had happen, where you had all these offensive guys just fall to you. And that's easily the biggest need of this team.
No, I agree. But overall, thank you all for watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos. We're going to go ahead and put our link to our Twitter in the description below at 904 more. And thanks for watching, and go Jags.
Go Jags.